can bring this regular council meeting to order. The time is currently 7:01. For roll call, we have all but Janice, who is going to be calling in as soon as she gets a chance. Position number 4 has resigned, and we'll be looking to address that. Recognize the visitors. You want to?
Hello, I'm Deputy Martin, Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, Deputy.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, if we can, say pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Deputy, we have this time allocated for the public. Have any comments? So if you want to
Okay, sure.
have something to.
So I've tried to get to the last couple meetings here in Harrington. When doing so, I've had a couple calls come out on the north side of the county, so apologize for not being here in a while. I have a few incidents to report. We've had 3 alarm calls, 1 animal problem, 2 citizen assists, 1 information only, and 1 juvenile problem, 1 paper service, 1 suspicious person or circumstance, 1 traffic offense, and 2 welfare checks for a total of 13.
That's here.
Yes, sir.
What's a citizen assist?
Could be like a vehicle lockout or
Oh,
someone
okay.
changing a tire, things like that.
A baton.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Is that just in the past month or since you've been
Yes.
able to be? Okay.
It was all today.
Be a busy day for me.
An hour ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you mainly the one that gets stuck or blessed in
I'm
this
the-
area?
East side deputy for this side of the week. I have the other team has their east side, so I just happen to fall on my working week. So, yeah.
They call this east side or it should be south side or central?
Well, so it's east deputy, so we have 3, 1 west, 1 Davenport, and then 1 on the east. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Very nice. Well, thank you for that information. Any additions to the agenda?
I just have a couple to talk about or touch bases briefly with, if we don't mind later. The endowment fund and heavy truck traffic on resident streets and the upcoming winter season sand and de-ice methods they're using.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
I'm good.
So the next item on the agenda is this interlocal agreement with the Lincoln County Solid Waste. Basically, their solid waste management plan needs to be basically we need to review, well, we've reviewed it already, the attorney's reviewed it, we just need to get it approved to sign and get that over to them. So the attorney basically said after reading it, as long as it did not identify that we were gonna incur any costs,
Mhm.
then he didn't have an issue with it. I did meet with Greg Holmes, who heads up the solid waste management system. And he said at this point, they've done everything in-house as much as they could, so the county wouldn't incur any costs. So unless something horrible and graphic happens with the state of Washington not accepting it, we shouldn't have any issues.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you guys got a chance to review that. This has been on the topic a couple of times.
Right, I did, and with you, I didn't see nothing. I concur that if it doesn't cause any undue
Is this what?
tension with the city. Go ahead.
Excuse me. Is this what you made me aware of last meeting? With the solid part versus the.
No, this is actually, and I think I'm gonna have to offer correction to that.
Oh, okay.
But this is specifically our agreement to work with Lincoln County on their solid waste plan.
Oh, okay.
So. It's quite honestly one of the state boxes that has to be checked. They're supposed to have a waste management plan and buy-in from the community.
I guess my question is how much participation physically or monetarily are involved in this?
Well, it'd be 100% participation because everything of ours goes
There,
to,
right.
to begin with. And then this doesn't tell us we have to spend any money.
Okay, that's why I thought.
There is a clause in here that says basically if they get jammed up and they have to spend money, that they're going to share it equally amongst everyone that's using them.
Okay.
However, did we establish, one of the questions that I had asked is this agreement the basis for why we are required to take our waste to the Lincoln County Waste Transfer Station? Because there are portions of that I read that seem to imply this is the basis for that requirement. And I noted before, if we don't do this, the state requirements are heavy. But still, when it comes time to, when we re-up the Sunshine contract and everyone says this is way too high, and part of it is, well, we have to dump in Lincoln County, I'm just wanting to know before we vote on this, not that we have a lot of options, but I want to know before we vote on this, is this the thing that ties our hands to dumping our waste management at the transfer station?
I would think so.
I would think so, yeah. I read the entire plan and I didn't see anything or I don't recall seeing anything that said either way. But
Well, it was, at least the part that I made out with that was that it said that we're required to participate in all waste. I can find the quote, but that basically all of our waste is participating under this plan. Therefore, their waste transfer station and everything as a part of it that becomes our obligation.
yeah, and I believe, or so I've been told, that if we chose to do something different, then we are required as a city to basically create our entire own waste system plan, and I believe there's a licensure that's involved that would require us to,
Yeah, I'm not saying that we have a lot of other options, but I mean it was a part of the discussion back then of how do we find a way to get around this cost. Well, before we bind ourselves to it again, we should at least just be conscious that that's one of the decisions we're about to make.
Wasn't there something also in there that, excuse me, that if we chose not to, we would have to be dealing with the state, like I said, and come up with our own facility on
solid waste
some
management
kind of,
plan.
yeah, and I don't know how extensive that would be, but
I looked at the RCW. It is,
as to Stephen's argument,
to
or
say
his
the least.
concerns, is we did solicit some other garbage providers or waste picker-uppers, and they were considerably higher because they were out there at Grant County, and but there was question why we couldn't haul to, I guess, Washtuckney or down
Washtuckney.
south of us here, and at that time, and I think Odessa might still be doing this, but I think you still have to pay Lincoln County and you can haul it to other places. So it's kind of like a double whammy, you get charged.
That's what I was gonna get at.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring it up later, but I since we're diving into the topic, I had a meeting today with Sunshine.
Mhm.
From a legislative point of view, apparently there is some saber rattling, if you will, on the west side about opening up these restrictions. There's also some discussion about opening up the maggot quarantine and drawing the lines and revisiting that. It's apparently being driven strongly by Waste Management because they are the ones that are the operators of the Washtuckna location, and I think they're looking for customers.
Oh, say maybe a lot of it will have to go there instead of here?
Or it could. It
Yeah.
would just basically open up a lot of options. Apparently King County is running close to running out of real estate for their solid waste. And apparently the county's made it clear that they're not going to build another one. So they're going to be shipping their stuff someplace soon. So that's
I
driving
wonder
this
where.
conversation also. So apparently if you are a solid waste facility, especially one that's privately run, the margins are very, very favorable. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, I know there's lots of changes and
Did they,
we've got some things going on
sorry.
to offer to Sunshine. It's out of our control, but I said we would throw our hands in. They're looking at what they can do to help mitigate costs as well. One of the things that they're exploring is, instead of having everything in Airway Heights or other places, to have a facility more centrally located to their other customers. And that location could be Harrington, where they would keep a garage and a truck here. And so then their employee just has to get here, get in the truck, and service us in other locations. And because of that, it reduces, I mean, right now, based on the cost of fuel and the fuel efficiency of those rigs, it's $100 each time they leave Airway Heights just to get here. That's just the fuel cost. $100 here, $100 away from here, and then all the running around they do. So if they can do something to mitigate some of that, and they've got other locations that are further out than us. So
Mhm.
Why don't they just make it electric? That'll fix everything.
Show them the back roads.
Oh, my.
So you're thinking of not a site, but just the truck, the apparatus, garbage apparatus?
no, they're talking about if he was to do it, they would have basically a mini facility here. So they would have a facility, a garage that they could park it in.
But not dump it here.
No, not
Yeah,
dump
okay.
it here. No, just to have a truck stationed here.
Where is the dump in Airway Heights?
It's Geiger. up there.
Oh,
The
okay.
Wheelabrator? Was that?
Well-
Or that's for another one.
But they're taking our waste to Lincoln County.
They're taking our waste up to the Lincoln County
Oh,
outside of
here.
Davenport.
Okay.
But they are housed in Airway Heights. That's
Right.
where their yard is with
Okay.
all their equipment and offices and shops.
Off of Hayford, McFarland, I think it was. McFarland?
Somewhere back there. I mean, it's between
Yeah.
Highway 2 and the airport. I
Yeah,
drove there once
it's
to sign some
Harlan.
paperwork.
I didn't know if that was
Anyway.
their main, but
It's next to that bakery.
Cyrus Larry's?
Yeah, Cyrus O'Leary, the pies.
Yeah, in that area. So anyway,
Garfield.
I think we can work with them and
How soon did they give a timeline again?
he's putting a plan together. He's got to get it approved by the CEO, by the owner.
Oh,
But
okay.
he has to build a business case, but I think he was just seeing what our interest would be. It would just help their overhead, and if it helped their overhead, then it helps our costs that are getting passed on to the residents.
He didn't inmate, any raises or cost increases? Any touch on those?
Yeah, we did.
Oh,
And
no.
again, I was gonna bring it up later, but since we're in it, he doesn't know what the exact numbers are because he doesn't know what Lincoln County's doing yet and all the rest of it. In his gut, he is thinking there might be about a 10% raise or increase. And it's not so much because their costs have increased, but as we anticipated, there's been enough people that have moved away from larger cans and stuff in Harrington that have gone to smaller cans,
Mm-hmm.
that they're about,
They're not generating the revenue they were.
they're about 1,000 a month less
Mhm.
than they would have been if the numbers stayed exactly where they were.
We kind of saw that one coming, huh?
Well, yeah, and we said that when we put that into play, is that we knew whether it was us or them doing the rate hikes, that when the containers got priced according to their size, that people were going to move. So
Right. And that was the biggest move.
Yeah.
So it showed up right, I mean,
Pretty
quite
quickly.
a way. Yeah.
yeah.
I can think of 3 right off the bat that were almost instantaneously overnight changed.
Now half the town's not taking a dumpster. So
So,
Hmm.
so any other questions on the topic of this interlocal agreement?
No, it looks like we're pretty much hands tied, have to do it. From what I'm hearing or
Yeah.
seeing right now.
Since we're on the topic, it's a little bit off of this, but one thing that they have done is when it comes to our green waste bin,
Mhm.
they've actually secured some larger ones, 30, 40 yard ones, with the purpose of having them out here. We'll have to make some modifications to where they sit because they're huge. But the goal is we wouldn't have to have them picked up as frequently.
But there's also a greater cost associated with that too, isn't
I'm
there?
gonna have to double check. I think we're just paying for the pickup and drop off. I don't think we're paying for the weight on those. So,
Does anybody, I don't know the answer to this, but does any other town have that same opportunity? Or, I mean, do they have waste
there are
bins?
2 other towns in Lincoln County that are in their own Apple quarantine zone. Sprague is one of them, and they do something that takes care of their own waste.
Like burn it?
I haven't learned, but I'm gonna guess that's what it is. And I can't remember what, I think the other one is basically in the same situation we are. Where they're having to get it and ship it someplace.
Oh, okay.
But just us.
Okay, am I?
no.
I just got a little bit of a weird situation going on, and I saw you in uniform, so I was like, maybe it helps out. Look, picked up a dog running on the road, Harrington Tokyo Road, way out there, looked super lost, and I have no idea what to do with it. Knocked on all the doors close by. I can't take him
Let's
home.
step out here so we don't interrupt.
Yeah, all right.
Well, we don't have no Chinese.
To feed the dog to?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Haitians.
So,
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it the hate?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
In
they-
Ohio.
Well, I didn't see one. Well, hopefully they find their own.
How did that get? Caught it too.
Good thing it didn't hit the floor.
I gotta get these drilled in.
Zip tied well, my friend. Okay, back to funding formality of interlocal agreements.
I mean, as you see it too, we're pretty much stuck. I mean, we don't have an option really.
I don't see
To
us having
explore.
an option, and, I mean, there is an exit clause if we really wanted to come up with something different, but we all know that this stuff doesn't just immediately happen overnight.
And yeah, and venture to say it wouldn't be any cheaper, more economical to do that either
I,
at this time.
yeah, I don't.
So-
I just,
Yeah, we can't open the old dump where Sox Briarly was.
Yeah. Well, and this was for how long again? I don't recall.
I don't know.
Is it a yearly thing or
I don't know
10?
that it had an end date.
I never saw one.
There's a 30-day notice if we terminate the agreement, if we want to terminate the agreement. The agreement shall continue until rescinded, terminated as herein provided, or until adoption of a subsequent plan update.
So basically forever.
It's forever.
Until we-
replaced. I believe the county is supposed to redo this plan on a regular basis, every 4 or 5 years.
Well, I'm good. So
Move to approve.
second. No, go ahead.
Second.
All right. A motion to approve the interlocal agreement with Lincoln County's comprehensive solid waste management plan. Any further discussion?
I'm good.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any negative? No. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Next on our agenda is the advertising for council position number 4. I had sent you guys out what we had used the last time we needed to fill a vacant position. Obviously, it's got the wrong dates and numbers and what have you.
Right.
I don't feel, I wrote that as a council person, but I feel like you guys should have your own.
Don't we have a template that we gave the clerk to follow?
Not that I know of.
I thought we went through, it seemed like for a while we were just burning through.
So the last appointment was Janice's.
And prior to that, it was Chris.
Yeah.
Mhm. See, I had that
I think it
one.
looks good.
I have no
Could use that as a
objections.
template.
Yeah.
But I tried looking this information up, but that term expires in 27? Or, yeah,
Well, it just got elected.
Mm-hmm.
right, last year, basically almost a year ago, yeah.
23 to 27, yeah.
23 to 27. However, the county will put those people on the ballot at the next
Mhm.
opportunity, which will be next year.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to Norman, their basic philosophy is, while they love it that people get appointed, they want the people to make the decision on who's in these roles.
Well, they kind of changed that because the deal was they didn't want to screw up or foul up the cycle, like we were all
Yeah, no,
chopped up
yeah,
for a
now
while there.
So Janice, this position, and whatever ones are up for election will be on the 2025 ballot. Then, in Chris's case, whoever wins that election will fulfill out the rest of that term.
Yeah, is that a state thing or just a county thing?
Hey, Joe. Hello. That's okay. That's okay. We're in the middle of a council meeting, so you're on the air. Do you want to do you want to go live or do you want to call me later?
I'll just tell you, we're at 3.2.
Okay.
We are for,
Okay.
across the board for the whole entire county.
Sounds perfect. I will pass that on.
Okay.
Okay. That's okay. Thanks. Bye. You guys know I wouldn't have taken that if it wasn't Joe Gilchrist.
Oh, I thought it was-
That was Janice.
Okay, what was I saying?
about the election and
Yes, yeah, the election.
my
yeah.
question was, is it a state thing, the requirement, or is that just a thing the county
I-
wants to do?
I haven't looked at it to know which person or which organization is driving that. It was presented to me that the county wants to see this, but I don't know that it's not a state thing also.
Well, I know, well, I guess about 4 years ago or whatever, I know because Stephen and I both run into it, and we had before that. It was frustrating for them, so because it threw off the voting cycles every a 2-year, 3-year, 4-year. So they wanted to get it back to that. So that's why I'm kind of scratching my head. What happened? Why didn't they just stick with that? Because we were getting back on track. You know?
Well, and we still are. I mean, for example, the mayor, the reason Jess had a 2-year term is he was just fulfilling the term that had been started
Right.
2 years before.
Right. So to go to that, why even appoint somebody? Just throw an election and vote them in. You know.
Our voting bill
I know.
with the county is significant enough as it is.
Well, I'm not. I'm griping to the wrong people. I mean, I get it. I'm just voicing my opinion right now.
So anyway, I know this is an action item. I mean, I don't know that it necessarily needs an action. I just wanted to make sure that you guys all had an opportunity to weigh in on it, and if you wanted to see changes, modifications, alterations, rewrites, whatever. But I do want to get it in as soon as possible.
Right.
I guess the other question with regard to this is, when do you guys want to have this appointment process?
Deadline?
Meet the candidate, or, anybody that's throwing their name in the ring, meet them, talk to them, and potentially vote on them.
Well,
As I've maintained, I would love to have a full council as soon as reasonably possible.
right. And we went through this. I believe we kind of adopted a process for doing this,
We
a
did.
procedure.
Yeah, we've got a resolution.
The only thing, going back to what we talked about, really, in here, if interested, in this position for the remainder of the term, that if they're going to vote on them again, I mean, that just fouls that up.
Well, okay, so that's a rewrite we can do.
Put a question mark there. I'm not happy about it, but
We could, okay, because this doesn't say anything about, for the remainder of the term.
maybe till the
we
next
can't.
election,
We
If
could,
that's-
well, we could put in that it's,
subject to
2020
change.
May or 2025's election cycle.
I'd like to find out, ask Norma whether if this is just a county thing or if it's state requirement. Because going by that, correct me if I'm wrong, if that's the case, then we appoint somebody, come spring, that position is free game, somebody could file for that position and everything, correct?
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah, to put it bluntly,
and it cost us more money again, because we'll have to do it, because I think that position was good till 27. So, I mean, you see what I mean? We're gonna pay for an election one way or another,
exactly.
or double election.
Well, there's going to be a number of other things going on in that. I mean, there's going to be, are both of you?
I'm up in 25.
Okay.
But
So,
not him.
I am.
okay.
No, I'm not.
No, because you and Chris or position number 3 and 4 were up
Okay.
last year. So I think,
Oh,
I think Janice and, or position 1 and 2 will be up in 25.
yeah. So, yeah, that's why she was fulfilling out the last of the term, is because one way or the other, the next election, that position number 1 was going up for grabs.
So, not to beat a dead horse here, but a year from now, whoever wins that election, does it the 4-year start from there, or is it just to finish out that term?
Just to finish out that term.
Whatever.
Gotta follow the rules.
Things that make you go,
Okay. So, any specific rewrites you guys want, or do I have free rein?
No,
Okay, can
I'm
we talk
good.
about the dates on the calendar when we put this?
okay, what are we calendar wise? What did we use? We gave them 30 days. What was it? On the old ad, when we solicited for, Janice, or
For my
number
seat?
1, yes.
Yeah.
2 weeks, wasn't it?
Gosh,
Heck, I can't remember.
we wanted the letter of interest like right away. But I think we posted it early. We posted it mid-December. I think we gave them 2 weeks to put in a letter of intent.
And we could always extend that if we're not getting anything, which we probably will get some.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
So I think we were looking, so what are we, mid-October? So if we get something that are in November, our first, election, day after election day is our first meeting, right? That's,
Can I suggest this maybe? Instead of having a council meeting, our second council meeting on the 23rd,
of October.
have it on 1 week later on the 30th. And it's not just this, there's also another public hearing that we need to do with regard to the budget and there's
Also-
some other public
Also,
meetings,
the-
hearings that are needing to be done, and it gives us time to advertise for all of them.
Okay, I'm not opposed to postpone, throwing it off that far. And, yeah, you mentioned it, you brought up the PDA stuff, the public hearing. So,
Yeah, that would be the other one too.
so we could have,
We could have public hearing.
we could have multiple.
Yes.
I
Are
guess
we gonna
could-
need to have a public hearing for the PDA?
I would,
Yes.
because it's in the,
Their letter waived their right to it.
The attorney said he doesn't,
They-
they at least have to have a public hearing.
yeah.
Okay.
If they don't want to show, fine, but I mean, it's a public, yeah.
Yeah, that's an opportunity for, the way the ordinance is written, it's assuming that they're being, shut down under duress, and give them an opportunity to.
And when we get to that, we'll discuss that. I guess I have stuff to say, but right now, yeah, that interested position, remainder of term, ending. I'd like to see one of the clerks or somebody just have a cookie cutter template. All you have to plug in is a position number and date. And they should be typing it up, I mean, and go.
Well, that's effectively what this is, but like I said, we didn't put, what we published didn't have when you were finishing out your term.
Right, and that has changed recently, obviously. Person, okay. So one thing we have to figure out is the 2 weeks. So the first review, we want it probably November
So-
30th, October 30th.
We could put it, we could put a deadline of Friday the 25th
Okay,
with a meeting on the 30th. that gives a chance for everything to be sent out to you guys, and you guys have 4 or 5 days to review. 6 days technically.
Right.
Fine by me.
I can, but I guess we could do an executive session if need be, the 30th prior to, like we did
As-
that.
as needed.
Yes. Of,
Because then on the 30th, we follow that whole template of how to appoint
right,
a position.
okay. I mean, right now, yeah, it sounds okay. Yeah. No objections on that. And this will facilitate a expedient transition.
Which is
For
the goal,
what we
to
need.
be up to
We need.
full song, yeah. Are you okay with the 30th?
Fine with me.
Yeah, good.
Okay. We'll see that that gets done.
Are we wearing costumes?
That's the 31st.
Oh, well,
But we can trick or treat.
All Hallows Eve.
Okay.
Okay.
So did-
Now we've got the PDA.
Did you need a vote on that or not? Or-
Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
really not an
Okay.
action item that's,
It's just the council needs to, go and do, yeah.
yeah.
They find the dog?
No, it's, saw him leave, sorry. It's nothing. Okay. Yeah, the PDA dissolution, so we need to have a public hearing. They requested it. I took it to the attorney. He said even though they're waiving it, he still feels because the ordinance says there's supposed to be a public hearing, challenge that we should still have one, so.
Yeah. Are we gonna, we're on that now, right?
Yeah,
Correct?
I'm sorry, we should do, yeah. we're not
Yeah,
talking
no
about
worries.
public dog.
We're good. My only questions with this are one, I have several, but according to the ordinance, number 433, I believe, you don't need any reason you can do this. Council can terminate this for any reason, it says. I think verbatim is one of the lines.
Okay.
On page 10, section 24, termination. If the city council makes an affirmative finding that termination is warranted for any reason, the existence of the authority may be terminated by ordinance. Going forward, I looked through this, and if anybody would shed some light on this, why it was created, what, it says it on the first page, some of the things that they were doing or supposed to do or could do, and was surprising to me. I mean, I didn't realize they had quite that authority or that was really the role, but be it as it may, going forward, my concerns are, can we afford to get rid of this? Do we need to terminate this? What are the pros and cons, I guess?
So, I think this was created in 2007.
2003. July 9th, past 2003.
Okay.
And it was created, the authority created, section 1, if I may, paragraph A. A public development authority is hereby created to administer and execute federal grants or programs, receive and administer private funds, goods, or services for any lawful public purpose, and perform any lawful public purpose or public function within the limits of the incorporated area of the city of Harrington and without said limits to extend provided by RCW 35.21.740 as enacted hereafter amended. So I did not know that, to tell you the truth, that the PDA, what was their function? Is that a function that we, just asking council, that we're willing to flush right now, or for lack of better terminology, I mean, get rid of? And
So, in essence, a PDA for Harrington is in other cities and towns a port. It's a public authority. It kind of can operate, I'm just summarizing here, can kind of operate as a business. They're more flexible, they have to follow the rules, but, you know, because they're not a taxing body, because they don't collect funds directly from the public, they just, the bottom line is they can get things done quicker than the city can, or government body. So that's the advantage of having them. And my understanding is they were the ones that were instrumental in the beginning of getting the initial fiber brought into town, just in this central core here. And there were some other plans that they were doing, and they've done some wonderful things. The fundamental problem in Harrington is there's
The apathy.
a duplication of some of the things that they do. There's other organizations that are doing some things that basically overlap.
Well, that's what I need clarification on.
Specifically the chamber. The chamber goes out and is able to do things for the benefit of the city. Nothing grandiose, of course, but it just, and I talked to the people that have been involved with the PDA, and with the other obligations, it's not apathy, it's just capacity. There's not enough projects and there's not enough people.
Well, this was truly kind of an arm of the city, and my only concern is I'm not for any shadow governments types. I don't know if that would fall under this category or not, but going forward, when it was, the bells and whistles go off when I hear other organizations doing the same thing, I'm a little bit concerned that other organizations might be overstepping their legal authorities and stuff of the city. Whereas this is backed up by RCW and councils involved with this, the checks and balances, and where other organizations aren't. That's why I see some flags are concerned. Do we want to eliminate this completely? And and if it does, what are we stuck with?
Well,
Just topic for conversation. I go either way.
I
Just
don't think we're
clarification
stuck
here.
with anything. I don't think, not, and I'm not involved with every organization, but the few that I do actively work with and have involvement with don't do anything out of line. They're not making decisions that impacts the people or the city or its properties or anything of the like. The other question is, what kind of project, what kind of thing does Harrington need right now that they could do that either the city couldn't do or one of the civic organizations?
Boy, you said a mouthful there. Honestly, I got to digest all that. But then again, that's why the public hearing too, as
Right.
people. I just don't want to be quick to yes.
Well, it's, okay, so, I mean, we don't have to disband the PDA. The problem is you will have a PDA with effectively nobody in it. So it's, when you go through our ordinances, you will see that at any given time, there have been various committees or organizations or whatever created, committees created by ordinance or resolution. By and large, they're not out there anymore.
They're defunct. Yeah.
Now, this is an opportunity where this group of people that remain basically said, we should just shut it down and not have it left on the books.
But the ultimate authority is the legislative body, is the council, correct? Yeah.
True, but they basically could get some stuff done. The electric vehicles charging stations, that suddenly there was an agreement to have them installed by Vista at the town square. And we heard about it after the fact. That's something that they have the authority to do that we didn't necessarily know was going on until it was all but done.
Well, they reached out for it and they got the whole list of stuff there. And so you disband that. What topic for discussion here is what would replace that? If you say, you point out some things they've done, thank you, I didn't realize it, but if it's gone, then what? I mean, anybody.
So, well, there's two things. I think it's up to this body if there's something that needs to be done or we could do to make it better. The people in this office, in the council, the mayor, the clerks, we could do everything that they're doing. We're just not gonna do it as fast.
Well, two things
And we
there.
can also create a PDA later on. This doesn't say that, but, it takes people to run these things. That's,
Right. Well, I know the job of a council, the body here, the mayor, clerks, and everybody. And I kind of get from what I'm seeing here is that we got grants or federal executioner grants. It wasn't their job to go out and get grants, but they administered them and the programs, which it looks like. See, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around just what is going on here. But anyways, that's not the job of the council, we can go after, we might hear grants, but grant writer or the clerks write up a grant money, whatever. We need some, obviously, this was instilled by the need to facilitate them, to make them go after we get them. That's kind of a roundabout way, but that does to me what administer and execute means.
well, let's
But
say suddenly somebody had a wild idea that it would be great to have a new swimming pool at the city park. The PDA could work on all the bits and pieces and processes of finding the money, they could put all that together under this authority and administer it. They are still accountable to the state. They did, when it came to the audits, they had to pay part of that overall cost.
where did they generate their funds from?
They had fundraisers.
Okay. Well, I would agree with this, that, being here, I never heard a lot of them. I mean, but I didn't also pay attention either, to be honest with you. I don't know how many people knew what the PDA was established for, but
I didn't know either until I went to a few of their meetings
All right.
and got a better idea.
does anybody know, I've looked through the ordinances, or the ordinance 433 here and such. I don't know how, it seems like there's another Exhibit B that's supposed to be with this, and I don't have that. But how they chose the officers or chose the committee or any of that, I don't see how, like the library board,
Yeah.
how we did that and whatever else. So many, I guess the historic preservation, how that's supposed to be run, kind of like the library, so many years on there, rotate off, and
To my
How's-
mind, one of the reasons to allow it to disband is so that should we need another one in the future, we can set it up correctly from the beginning. Because I think it's
that's a point.
perhaps less clear how to fix the current iteration than it is to let it disband and recreate it if needed.
So nobody here has seen an original, how it was supposed to be set up, how the officers were chosen or the members or anything?
The bylaws are, and I haven't read them, but
Do
the
you have a copy of
bylaws
them?
are, they're Are they not attached to that?
No. That's what I was wondering. If they say in there, that's one thing, but I just, the information I have doesn't have anything.
Oh, yeah, when I got the copy of 433, it included Exhibit A, which was the charter and the bylaws. So, I think the bylaws are, well, I haven't read them. I don't know, I'd have to take some time to read them.
Well,
Board shall okay, yeah, it is here. The bylaws, 5 members, who shall be people or persons proposed by the mayor and approved by city council. No directors shall be the mayor nor more than 1 council member. If there are no council members on the board, the mayor or a city council member may act as a non-voting ex officio member of the board. And then they're grouped. 1 member for a 2-year term, 2 members for 3-year terms, and 2 members for 4-year terms.
so it's already laid out and set up.
That's confusing enough right there. And the mayor made the original appointments to the 3 different sections. It explains the officers and their duties.
So it sounds like it's the same quagmire that the library fell into, and nobody followed their own bylaws, and it just, whether apathy or whatever reason, it just slowly become
Yes.
disorganized.
With the difference that the library owned or had direct responsibility for real property. PDA does not. So in terms
Yeah.
of the ease to disband it, the library, if it was disbanded, we'd have to move that property around, whereas with the PDA, we don't have that concern.
Right. Well, going forward, we have these groups that, and historic preservations, whatever, HCCP or whatever it's called, that's the same line. They haven't been following their rotations either of members. And it just seems like that's an issue with Harrington and all these groups and whatever that were created. But I would definitely urge anybody listening and any input before I would make a total decision amongst my fellow members here, is that we get some input from the citizens on this too. Concern, either way, just throw your 2 cents in. I want to hear from them.
Okay.
So that
I'm
hence
sending you
the meeting.
ordinance 433 that has both exhibits A and B.
Okay, I have the ordinance, but I don't have the exhibit
Okay.
B, so thank you. Perfect. Okay, that's all I gotta say about that. I'll probably hold comment on that until the public hearing.
Okay.
Tell you the truth.
Okay, so tabling that. We all got a text from Karen, so I'm gonna read it real fast.
She has some input on that?
No, she's been very busy. So, she's apologetic. I don't think she's able to tear herself away.
Well, the reason why, I'd say we bring this back up at our public hearing, because under termination, section 24, it says if council makes an affirmative finding that termination is warranted for any reason, the existence of authority may be terminated by ordinance of the city council at or after a public hearing. And that's where I stand. I
Okay.
want to find out how important this really is.
Take that to our October 30th meeting.
Mm-hmm. So everybody tell your friends, tell your neighbors.
Okay. Additions to the agenda. You have the endowment fund.
Yeah, I just, well, some of the information that was sent in the council packet and stuff. I have a little bit of a hard time following. Seems like some of it has changed. I'm a big fan of we need to ASAP, as soon as possible, separate that from any other funds, that if cemetery endowment fund is on its own, monies, whatever. I personally would like to see it invested some other place other than the state pool, but that's a topic for discussion. And I don't, I would rely on other people's opinions as well. I mean, if it was up to me, I know what I would do, but nevertheless, I think we've sat on this long enough, and it's time to move with this, get this separated out to where the mayor, clerk, the city can use the interest, the money it generates for cemetery, which is intended to do. We have donors that donate to it consistently. I get those letters out in February, get it back on track again, and make our lives easier. And the combobulation with the endowment money, I know the Mayor and I have had this discussion, and Stephen, about where do we start? How much went in? I mean, that's gonna be an accounting kind of, to me, kind of accounting kerfuffle, right, at the
I
moment.
think we're there. I mean, I've gotta update it, but as of
You found some info?
3-4 months
Okay.
ago, I found bits and pieces that would indicate, as I've been going through the budget, and all the data, there's been other contributions, other donations to that fund, so I've gotta look at that and make the adjustments.
Okay, well, that's perfect then.
Yeah. No,
And-
we finding the amount at this point is relatively easy.
Okay,
What and where is gonna be the question.
all right. And that's where I'd like to see some input from public, but as our council here, I'm pretty comfortable we could do better than where it's at right now.
Okay.
And two, establish a board of trustees. And now, when I say board of trustees, and the get this straight, statement of principles, I won't get into why right now, because that's confuse everybody, but it would behoove us to do that because, well, for classification, tax purposes and everything else. And it's required, basically, essentially, for that. But I'm not talking a board member that oversees the leaves at the golf course. That too, but the cemetery, does anything. Yes, that's a different board. I'm not.
We need to have the cemetery committee populated
Right,
as it's already been
right.
outlined.
But the board of trustees is separate from that. They manage this endowment fund. They oversee it. And 3 to 5 people on a board that take care of this. And not a council's position, not a mayor or clerk. It's other avenues that manage this fund.
So I will agree with you that this has been on the back burner, simmering for far too long. If we're gonna reactivate and redo it, we've gotta do it right. And if there needs to be a board of trustees, I'm wondering if we shouldn't take the ordinance as it was written initially to create the cemetery committee and the board and the
The whole 9 yards.
endowment fund, to our attorney and have it rewritten
Bingo.
to include all these, because I can almost guarantee you that the rules and RCWs that it was created under at
Could have
that
changed.
time have probably, I think fundamentally, the intent is still there, but I'm sure that they've been redone. So it's just a matter of,
Again,
I don't have the expertise to rewrite something like that.
to help you out, Mr. Mayor, it's another one of those things, good intentions that never was followed through with, back in the day, and and all that stuff. So I'd like to hear that. Attorney is exactly where I'd take it. Suggest that you start for guidance on this. That way we're right, because that's a lot of money that frankly has gone awry right now. I mean, we're not using the benefit of it. The donors, they don't get to see the benefit of it. I think we owe it to them.
Okay.
My suggestion is, though, that if we are relatively confident on the number of people that need to sit on this board, even if that starts with the number 3, we might as well start finding interested people before we go to the work of putting everything in place, because I have no indication that we are successful yet in finding one person who would be willing to do this.
I agree. I've asked
Yeah.
Okay.
myself.
And so this is not to say I do not I agree with the need to do this, but I just don't see the point in doing it until we kind of have, like, if we had like even 2 people, like if we were in the ballpark. But to find 5 when we can't find one, I don't. My concern is that we would go to all this work, get it put in place, and then have it sit for another 2 years because we couldn't find people. I think first things first with that.
So I know of one person.
Okay.
I was approached by another person, but didn't really have the time to get into the meat and potatoes of what that really means. But that's a conversation that could be had again. So, and start there.
Okay. Now, if we have people, that's fine. My attempts were unsuccessful. It sounds like Gavin's were, but if we have people, then that takes care of that concern.
Yeah, because I would like to get this albatross
Oh, yeah.
flying and way off the bow. So,
And I think in the statement of principle, I mean, it's not only what we want to do, I think legally we're supposed to. It's a legal issue.
legally, well, the monies are not commingled in the books, so that's good. But that they are sitting in the same account may be problematic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do members of this board have to live within the city limits?
No,
No?
I would say not.
nope.
Okay.
You could have a financial advisor in Spokane, beyond, or whatever,
Yeah. Okay.
as long as they're not from China.
Any more on that one?
No, I'm good on that. That's all I
Okay.
have to say on that. Thank you for entertaining that. I mean, that's been,
Heavy truck traffic.
okay. As you know, the city road situation, we know what our streets are in Harrington. We're kind of a unique situation on the location of the gravel pits down there on the west end of town. West end on Sherlock would be the street, and located just on the city limits out there, outside of it. And for the life of me, I've run across it a few years ago, going through, you run across something, when you're looking for something, you run across all this array of information. So anyways, it had to do with street routes and what is, I don't know if this is the correct terminology, but truck routes are heavy, it wasn't every street in Harrington. There were certain roads, and it had to do with funding and different planning and everything. Good example of that is, the only one because I live on this street, 5th Street, is that heavy usage, it went from Main Street here, went up to Willis, then followed Willis, and then went to all of 4th. It didn't go from Willis south up the hill. It did not encompass that. And that seems to be getting beat to tar
That
right
road
now.
was in horrible shape.
Yes. And I just think going forward, we have to have a plan, come up with something to alleviate that, either figure out a different route for the increased traffic or the stuff going down to the lagoons, or gravel pits, it's called, or have them just use Sherlock. Sherlock's getting beat to tar too. So I'm open for thoughts, but the other day I saw the county coming in there and hauling, do we have another location for them to haul their winter sand? And that's gonna be the next question, or next concern I have. I know years ago, there was talk about building a road on which I own the end of the property, the city limit right there in this particular area. And building a road and access for all the heavy traffic coming in and out. So it didn't only affect the street I live on. I don't want people to think that I'm bitching about my only street. I mean, it's affecting all of our streets in this town. And that would alleviate some of the load of street repair.
So you're
To some degree.
You're talking about basically coming off the highway.
Right.
Over the creek bed
And-
into that
Right.
commercial industrial.
That's out of city limits, yes.
Yeah.
And now, at that time, the whatchamajigger, the shop there, the pond,
The wastewater plant.
yes, that too,
and
yeah, that was,
and
didn't
the lab.
exist there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lab. So that kind of could be a situation. But I mean, just ideas. I mean, I don't have the perfect solution, but is there another place they could stockpile their sand? And, because there's no county roads this way, they sand, they're up on that end of the town. Is it? Probably not. I don't know the answer to that, but maybe it's just something we have to live with.
Is it state?
It's county. Or
No,
the property?
We're not the only property owner down there. You know,
Vista
Vista's
Owns a
there.
little chunk. I'm not aware of the state now. Something could have happened since my
Or
recollection of.
I will reach out
I know-
to the county and find out who owns or whose stuff is down there.
Years ago, the county owned a lot more than what they own now. I know that. The city of Harrington owns quite a chunk from what it used to be. But even if it was stockpiled on the other side, I mean, you know, for ease of it, a lot of stuff, because I see the county coming in winter, and this brings me up to my next concern. And I know former mayors, I've expressed my concerns and known from my background in the usage of sand and where to put it. I mean, it's all fine and dandy. I think there's sometimes it's overused in excess and creates a problem. Dust, sand, and everything else, and that's the state, the county, whatever. Then coming into town there, they have to sand the road and the residential, you know, it's a tricky hill anyways there and stuff like that, I get it. But if it was at a different location, it would facilitate not turning it into a dirt road, for one, and the usage of it. I'm not, it has its uses putting on sand, there's no doubt about it. But the whole damn road, the whole through the neighborhood, you know, and all that, and it's not only the county, the state is really famous for just turning this into a gravel road out front.
Right.
And I know they have, I don't know if they have any liquid de-ice they use anymore. There's costs associated with this. But I think we should have the right to limit the frequency they put down and how much. And
So
hey,
you're not talking about our usage.
right, no, not the cities. You
You're
know,
talking
I'm
about
talking
the
about the
state.
state, the DOT, Washington State Department of Transportation on 3rd. Yes, the hill up here, Old City Hall Hill is referred to, the hills, dating myself. But anyways, that and intersections with stop signs, that's perfectly fine, you know? But I'm noticing it's gotten worse or more frequent. We really haven't had a decent winter, but I mean, for the lackluster of snow and winter conditions, we have a hell of a lot of sand out here, and we don't have it.
much.
What's that?
Why do we need that much?
Right,
sand?
and why? And we don't have the ability or the crew or the equipment to
Happen
go pick
look
it
at
up.
the storm drain over here.
It's
and
plugged.
It's probably half full of sand. I get it. Yeah.
Theoretically, every spring or whatever, Spokane, you ever see them on the freeway or whatever, they have, the vac truck there was designed to go down those dry wells and suck all that stuff up. But we don't have that apparatus or afforded, the equipment and manpower to go do that. So if they're gonna do this, I would encourage them to use as much liquid. I'm not really a fan of it's liquid rust in a bucket, but to utilize that option more or be not so generous with the sanding. where it doesn't really need it.
Okay.
Or who's gonna pick it up and do we, because right now, who picks it up in the spring?
No, we do.
Yeah,
We try to get it picked up before the car show.
yeah, and that's way too late, I mean, because it was a dust cloud, I mean, it's, so, that was, that's my soapbox complaint for, it's just concerns, and I just see, wanted to, if we could come up with a more, so, a better solution.
Fair?
Well, you're gonna wish you had it this year. It's supposed to snow a whole bunch.
Well, I know, like, I like the farmers, I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. And I know that's gonna irk somebody that's listening, but
Any further discussion on that? Okay. Let's push through to some housekeeping. Did you guys have a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
briefly, but I didn't see anything wrong with it. I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 And no nays. Thank you very much. Moving on to approve the September payroll.
Move to approve.
Second.
I didn't want you to feel lonely, Gavin.
No.
Any questions on the payroll?
Let's see, payroll. We got Donna with some more overtime. Was that due for the, yeah. Okay. So far, it's pretty explanatory. Okay. No questions at this time?
If there are no additional questions, all in favor of approving the payroll, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's weird saying that.
You know. We're in a-
Okay, observe our check record for September 25th. See, this has already been approved. This is just a opportunity to look and see that they were, claims were, checks were written as approved.
Okay, had it. I think I did. Get back on here, please.
You want a copy?
Yeah, maybe. Mine was marked up a bit, but this will, I don't think, it wasn't this, nope. It was the one we were gonna approve, okay, yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, any other questions on it?
Thank you.
Okay. Now, moving on to the new claims.
Move to approve.
Second,
Thank you. Any discussion?
that one I did. The MKB, that is gonna be going up here at the end of the year.
Is it,
Or-
gosh.
or March?
when- Yeah,
I don't recall.
The contract has a mandatory
It's step increase, yeah.
step increase.
And I couldn't remember if that was, I think it's probably in 25, right?
Yeah, I will have to look it up. I'm not gonna commit to that specific.
Okay.
I can look that up and let you know though.
Yeah, I figured it was, I just didn't know when. The Wheatland Repair, is that new shop up there on this north end of,
It is
Davenport?
in Davenport, yes.
They seem to be doing a pretty good job, aren't they?
We've only
Well,
used them the once. I was tuned on to them because they do tire replacements and repairs and what have you. So I went and visited with them. They do tire replacements, but like 2 or 3 days a week, not every single day, and it has to be scheduled and planned and all the rest of it. So,
Okay, well,
but they're a full shop. So
I've heard good reviews.
What they're just so just so you know what that was about.
Yeah,
The heater in the white truck was not working consistent. So you'd come on and they'd get hot and then it would start blowing cold. And so they had done as much as they could checking of what it was and pretty much determined that it was a problem with the heater core.
yeah,
And
sorry.
that was a little bit bigger than just having our guys get their hands dirty on. So we did it for that. And then at some point in time, the driver's door handle mechanism broke on the inside. So the only way they could open the door was to roll down the window and reach out.
I had one of those ones.
So with winter coming, I thought those two things might be important to
So was there something else that was done for over $1,200?
that was the two. I think they had to. I haven't seen the invoice, but I think they had to replace the heater core. Oh, and mind you, that shows up as the first document you saw that showed up as a check. Donna recalled afterwards because got the invoice and she put it in to cut a check, and then she realized that it was put on a Visa. So that was the correction on the updated. The updated claims. That was one of the things, is that $1,212 was paid with the Visa card. So you're going to see that on the Visa card on the next statement.
Okay. I see the Anatech labs are substantial, like
Yeah.
normally.
I'm adding that up. If we want to go down that path, I will do it right now. I don't know if they're an option financially, but there is another lab in the Tri-Cities. In Pasco. Our operator is familiar with them insofar as that he has not heard any problems with them. What he doesn't know is anything about their pricing and the accommodation, and can they courier it? Do we have to take it to them? I mean, it may not be geographically convenient or financially geographically allowable.
This is Pasco, or
It's in Pasco,
okay,
but it's the next nearest lab
really?
that can do this kind of work. There are other labs around. I found another one, but they strictly do asbestos testing.
Okay.
Crap, that can help us.
So, how do we get the samples? Is it our fellow that does this? He takes them up there.
He has a route,
Okay.
and from where he starts and where he ends up his day, he can come out here and he can go almost right past. It's not that much further in his route to get that stuff to Anatech.
So if we did a Pasco lab, that would interfere with the current.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to do it because I know generally where he lives, and that'd be another 2 hours just to drive him to Pasco and back. So it'd have to be what kind of courier service, or can they be mailed to them, or what those requirements are.
Huh. Well, probably for the savings that they would charge would negate any savings in driving it down there.
Honestly, don't know. I mean, they would have to be, yeah, it'd have to pan out. I mean, we don't have an issue with Anatech except for their price tag. If
Right.
nothing else, we can ask them and find out, and if they give us, a general price in the same range, then we know that it's just the cost of doing business.
Thank you.
Right. I thought there was one up around Colville or something at one time, but maybe they don't. Yeah.
Well,
So the only thing that's
they don't do anything on the internet if they're there.
well,
Or I didn't see them.
fine kettle of fish.
I spent about 20 minutes trolling the web looking for options.
Okay,
In the lab here.
yeah, that should be.
Here to tell you, if you want to figure out how to print your own money legally, that might be the way to do it. Legally. Okay.
Okay, I'm good, no more questions. They
Okay.
were answered.
We have no more questions. All in favor of approving the claims? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Passes 3-0-0. Okay, mayor's comments. Got a couple things going on. One, I wanted to pass on to you guys that I received a resignation from our clerk treasurer yesterday. So she will be leaving us at the end of the month, and she's gonna work closely with me to get me up to speed on grants and loans, tigers and bears, oh my. So we will be actively advertising for a clerk treasurer.
Okay.
One thing, if,
Go ahead.
yeah, one thing that is a problem is if that does not happen by the 30th, and it is not likely to, we will need to, at a minimum, have a second signer for the checks.
Who's signing right now?
It's the clerk and myself, clerk and mayor, are the only two signers. But every check, oh, no, you're not a signer, are you? Yeah. I
Is it?
think So, and every check requires counter signatures. So we need a second person. I would like, it's not illegal to do so, so I would like if we could have somebody on council appointed to basically double check the invoices and be the second signature.
I'm vehemently opposed to that, honestly. I think we have a clerk right there would fill that spot, just for ethics and accountability.
Okay.
Admin and legislative, I don't think they would cross over.
So the RCWs don't forbid it. I had contacted Leffel Otis and Warwick if they could take that role as a bookkeeper. They said they might be able to. They'd have to check and see what they could do, but one of their hesitations is they wouldn't understand if they saw a bill from, some of these names, they wouldn't necessarily understand the significance and why that is. Where
Right.
you guys would. In other words, they're saying like, here, sign this, and it's like, okay, and they sign it because they don't know any different. So. We don't have to make that decision tonight, it's not on the agenda, so we can't make the decision tonight, but I was just wanted to point that out, that is.
A pickle.
Well, we're gonna have the problem. The most significant problem that we have is as we have bills coming in and you guys approve them, bills need to get paid. And bills require having a signature. So therein lies the point. And to further that, if
Right.
whatever route we go, we have to pass a resolution saying that this is the new signer, has to be in the minutes, and then all the documentation has to happen. And hopefully it doesn't happen very long, but I want to be prepared so that we don't find ourselves in the middle of November and haven't paid a bill because we don't have the mechanism to do so.
Yeah. I'm just gonna add one thing to your dilemma there. It's our dilemma. Is that more so now, it's more important that we, as council, sets the wages and sets the sandbox, the salary schedule. for you, what do you, because you can't go in there right now legally, or you can't offer, I mean, you don't know what to offer them,
Right, I can only use history as my guide.
you know, and that's at best skewed right now, in my opinion. So we need something more concrete that you, for you to work on, work by.
So we got a lot of work to do.
This comes effective when?
End of this month,
End of this month, okay.
October 31st.
And that's rapidly approaching.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next item. We have a water leak.
Yes, we do.
Surprise.
Down
North
there?
end of town. On Third.
That's a water leak, huh?
Yeah. Now, fortunately, I don't believe it, or they don't believe it to be a water main. I don't believe it either. It's because the water main is on this side of the road, which is, and it's considerably deep because they've already had to access it once before. So it's most likely a service line that goes to the house across the street.
Is this in front of, I just seen it today, in front of the Jerry Fillion residence?
The gray house, double garage.
Well, I didn't look, I don't know the color of the house, sorry. But just down here, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's like the third house from the end
yeah.
on this side.
The nicer of the
Yes.
houses, okay,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That's Jerry Fillion, Jerry and
Okay.
Dan.
Yes, it's right there. And I think the problem is, when we were out there last night, it was leaking, there was leaks showing up in the middle of the road, but then there was literally, running water coming out on the side.
Oh, I saw that.
And we're just, how in the heck is the middle of the road at the crown wet, yet the water's coming out of the ground here?
So you're thinking maybe a line that goes underneath?
Yeah, most certainly it is. So I reached down the hole and figured out, I'm fairly certain that over the years that has had multiple surfaces put on it. So it's
yeah.
come up to the bottom of probably a layer of concrete,
It's gone
and then it's
over.
just flowing underneath until it.
Path of least resistance.
Exactly.
So we're gonna have to close that road down and divert traffic?
Yep.
Yeah.
So because it's significant in where it's at, now the good news is where it's at, we can literally close off that section
Mhm.
and put a proper detour in, and it won't really affect traffic.
Just like we're having a parade again.
Yeah, basically. So, I mean, we would take it just one block and not
Mhm.
take it all the way up to here, but yeah. It's gonna involve cutting a channel all the way across the road. Because if we're gonna do it,
We're gonna do it right.
and we're gonna go all the way, that's one of the houses that has the meter in the basement, so it's an opportunity to put in a new meter on the outside where it belongs and
Good
all that.
thinking.
So,
Do we
job.
have special obligations to that road?
I'm finding out, or I'm not, should say, we are finding out. Ken is in talks with the state already. The biggest challenge that has presented itself is getting the patching material afterwards. So the state is seeing if they have time and capacity to be the person to put the new material in.
Okay.
So, that's happening. Our procurement plan, yes. For those, I can email this to you, but here's hard copies.
Did we,
We've not approved it, we need to desperately. That has been, gone through by the attorney. And his last email gave me a couple of corrections which have been implemented. What I need you guys to do is read it in as so much as for content, but there are thresholds in there that say at this, the mayor can approve up to this amount without the council approval. If it goes to this point, it has to be council approved. If it has to be done, there's different thresholds that are built into this.
right, okay.
I put numbers in. It's your document, so you guys are gonna need to come up with numbers that council is, comfortable with. It also says in there effectively that every single contract that the city enters into is approved by council. Which in my opinion is appropriate.
I guess.
I don't think the mayor should be entering in any contract without your guys' approval.
I don't know if a mayor would want to do that.
Well, I think in the past, things have been done out of necessity or otherwise, but this technically takes that away.
Was this,
So we don't need to get into it tonight, but I want to get it to you. I need to get it on the agenda. This is something that the auditor is asking us for. And again, we have an ERR grant that I can't close out until they have this document.
yeah,
And that's holding up a reimbursement of about between 10 and 11,000.
okay. So is this something, we don't have to necessarily, or do we have to wait till the next meeting? Is it something we
Yeah,
drop off?
it's an action item. It's, because that is a resolution, so it has to be
Is it something
It has
that,
to be voted on. But like I said, the reason I'm trying to get this to you is,
Oh,
is those thresholds are what you guys need to set. I put numbers in there, but
was this, copied? Or was it
yeah.
templated off
So,
another city?
Truth be known, initially it was.
Okay, that's what,
Okay, but
tailored to our needs.
I ended up effectively ash canning that and just using it as a template for the material to remind myself what is supposed to be in there. Reason being is, quite honestly, this is probably one of the first procurement ordinances or resolutions that'll be on the books with any city since the July 1st small public works roster requirement. Either we're supposed to build a list of contractors that can do the job and all the rest of it, or we have to buy into the AWC's small works roster. And that's why I had to do a rewrite, is because the one that I started with didn't address it, the numbers were off. The RCW numbers were not quoted correctly, because they all changed with this new law. So that's something we're gonna need to do. I got a letter from Sunshine today, and we talked about it briefly about, what they want to do, but they're also expressing their interest. If you guys remember when we switched over to them, it was for a 1-year deal. It was a 1-year contract. And here they're like, oh, hey, great, this has been a wonderful partnership and all the rest of it. They would like to redo that for a 5-year term. So this is their preliminary.
And rates are in there.
This is a single page letter just basically expressing they just didn't want to drop a contract on us that, and amongst other things, had a 5-year agreement life on it.
So we have a 5-year, they want us to sign something, or agree to something without any,
I'm just telling you
Yeah.
that they're going to be looking for a 5-year agreement.
okay, okay.
That's literally.
They're gonna send more correspondence than that.
Very much so.
Yeah.
You're welcome to read it.
What
it's
was our
one
other
page.
ones? What, do you remember, were they 3?
No, it was just for 1 year.
No, but I mean prior to our switch over.
I believe it was year to year. Wait a minute.
No, there were like 3.
No, you're right. You're right.
No, I know what it was. Whatever it was, there was 1 year left, and so we amended that.
Yeah, that's
Right.
why I thought, okay.
But go back 6 years ago. I mean, we had a contract for them to do it,
the work, and
but it wasn't every year. I mean, it was like a 3-year.
there was an amendment in, or there was a
4
language
years,
in
I
it
think.
that basically they could tell us that they were increasing their costs, and they left it up to the city to
Right.
increase their costs. And if the city didn't, then the city was on it. And I think between that and COVID is why we suddenly found ourselves $20,000 a year upside down.
Well, I think we were Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Did you need to see this?
I don't.
I just got that today, so.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing that and making our day sunshine.
Yeah. yeah. So the last thing that I wanted to do is briefly correct myself. I gave you guys misinformation with regard to the wastewater plant. So, what I was describing to you was the really big, okay. I was telling you that was the biosolid. That is not.
Yeah,
So in wastewater world, the biosolid is all the stuff that is settled and separated out. That's their biosolids. That they will be able to basically set aside, dry out, and that's just becomes mulch
okay.
effectively. The log that I was telling you about, they consider to be sludge, junk, crap, plastic,
Yeah.
other stuff. It's got bio in it, but they consider it basically a big,
Still hazard, right?
not, well, it's, biohazard. It's not like, where you want to
not compost,
but it,
Biodegradable is
it's
not.
not.
Yeah, it's
that's
not.
the problem. So they're basically considering that has to be processed as solid waste. So it'll have to be taken out, dried out. What they're talking about is basically the cheapest way to do it is they will take it out. They will set it aside in such a way that it can dry out, but it's going to take at least 2 years
2 years.
undercover
Oh my goodness.
to get dried out to the point that they can then load it up and treat it at the dump, at the solid waste.
Oh, they're gonna haul it out of here then?
After 2 years, they'll put it
Oh.
in trucks and they'll take it to the dump.
But for 2
Can't they
years.
leave it out in the sun in the summer and dry it out?
But in the summer, it's summer. Sorry. For the meantime, it's just going to be sitting down here with tarps over it, right? Okay.
Yeah, it'll stay on site. It's with, this is all coming from input from people at ecology and.
Pray for a northeast wind.
Their opinion is it should not be odorous. Once it's taken out of there, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't. It should be odorous, or
It should not be odoriferous. It shouldn't stink.
Shouldn't give off an odor.
Correct.
shouldn't be pungent.
Boy, how it couldn't be.
Then you use cologne.
But anyway, I wanted to let you know
Yeah.
that was, I thought that was, and it's not. They're two different materials that they have to
So
dispose of.
the stuff that they got to take out and dry out in the bags, then what they pull up the tarp and work it into the dirt underneath that?
No. The stuff that is in the bags will be out in the air.
Yeah.
And it will just be drying and draining into one of the lagoon, or not
Uh-huh.
lagoons, but one of the ponds that are there.
Yeah.
That still has the liner. The juice that comes out goes back into the system and get processed. And then when it's dried, which will be a lot quicker, then yes, that can just be churned into the soil because it's effectively soil at that point.
Should make a documentary about the whole process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of what
We should
not to
just
do?
Get a GoPro up there with a unlimited storage and just time lapse.
And when did they plan on starting this project? Or did they
Gotta get
say?
approved first.
Also time to improve.
I asked him because he was talking to me about all the rest of this stuff, and I said, "Okay, Andy,
Tom?
Andy Tom." I was like, "I'm going to be mayor for another 3 years. Is this going to be done, or am I handing this off to another person potentially?" And he said, "Oh no. At this point, he thinks this can be done, construction completed, with the exception of getting rid of this thing under the tarp, by the end of next year."
Oh.
Sounds good, but
But
it sounds like
the year's going up fast, and we don't have a end,
the
an approved plan yet.
that's what's holding us up, Olympia,
Proof is in the waste treatment pudding, I guess.
pun intended.
So to speak. Okay. That's all I got for this.
Is it just the one back on this procurement, is there just the
Yes.
one page here that you plugged in the numbers through it,
I
or?
think there's a couple of other
Okay.
pages that refer to different thresholds.
And the attorney saw that with their, I mean, just as we're seeing it, he was good.
He personally didn't even bring up anything about these limits
Wow.
and these whatever. He wasn't concerned about that. I'm concerned about that. So.
I know that in the past, it was, yeah, you were sitting on the council meeting before. I don't recall what it was for, the change orders. We had to have a special meeting and go down there and approve. Don't remember what it was for. Before you got on, I know.
Well, we had to do change orders that we approved for the steel under the railroad tracks.
Yeah, that was understandable. Maybe it was Adams Street?
In- Very possibly. That might have been because it was built into the
Yeah.
contract for that job, as it should be.
Seems like it's something else. It probably has to be that. Okay, well, we have homework is what you're saying, right? I don't mind.
I would,
That's good
I would
homework.
just say I would love to get that done. You know, if you look at it critically, that gives a guide for how the city buys
Right.
stuff.
And this is all,
And how the city gets its services. It addresses the engineering firms. It addresses the professional services that we get. So, we have no public comments. Do we have another motion on the table?
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
You're all motioned out.
Yeah,
Discussion?
I just want you guys to be able to get some once more.
No discussions, we're good.
All in favor?
Aye. Was Janice on at all?
Never had a
Okay. Because she's awful quiet tonight. I didn't hear no